how would you better support carers, including young carers?
Okay, so my thought on that is that both young carers and carers have almost the same sort of responsibilities as parents and family. So they need the full support, and not only that, they need the respite support if they're going to be able to do their job properly and prosper in it, in the sense of being able to look after the people in their charge.
Thank you. And how would you better support our guest workers?
When you say guest workers, do we mean in hospitality and things like that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I've worked in recruitment for hospitality, for a lot of years. So I'm very aware. So one thing I would say, I look after the candidates I'm looking after. I talk to the businesses, because when they have rooms next to laundry engines or they're cramped in, etc. So it's a big issue, but it's a hard one to resolve. So it's a case of, in my personal case, when you're trying to kind of work and help people, you want to make sure that they at least have a better choice. So to bring in a law, that becomes very sort of onerous, but the other way is to say that, look, if you want these people to do a good job to bring guests to your hotel and bars, then please care for them, and they will stay with you. They won't leave.
Yeah. Okay. How would you ensure the island works towards its overseas aid commitments?
So we have a percentage. I can't remember if it's 0. I apologise, not know, but to me, it doesn't matter how much trouble we're in financially, economically, like we're going to be, but we can't stop caring for others. We are so lucky in comparison, not only with the UK and COVID, but for the rest of the world. So, and also on top of that, put your hand in your own pocket. I put my hand in my pocket, and we work to help everyone.
How would you tackle in-work poverty specifically?
So in-work poverty comes under the sort of the policy. It's linked with taxation. It's linked with social security. I know a lot of people who actually don't take the benefits from the government, but instead they end up working so hard just to cover the cost there. So we need to give leeways. If in future, should tax have to be increased, they should increase the threshold so we have more leeway. And also find ways to have, some support. The most expensive one is when you have a young family and you have the childcare and those early years, they're so expensive. So anything we can do as a community to help.
Do you think our current levels of economic equality or inequality, do you think they're acceptable?
Are they acceptable? No, they are not acceptable. But it's the world we live in. So what we have to do is to find solutions to do it. So the reason I'm standing here is that if we can build our economy, we have the capacity to help our community. At the end of the day, the money, the government money, etc. It's not government money. It's our money. It's people's money. So we have to distribute it with care.
How would you ensure every islander has access to artistic opportunities?
So that's a brilliant one. So number one, I'm very sort of proud to know that people like David Hummels, who's been working, with the art for Guernsey. I've seen not only great opportunities for people to come along to art. They're opening one very shortly in a few days at Beau Séjour. But also these organisations, it's not just about sitting in a gallery looking. It can create opportunities like they did with the hospital, putting art designs on equipment for scanning children.
And what are your priorities for drug reform this next term?
So for drug reform, I'm going to have to sort of separate it first to decriminalisation, amnesty. All of these things, they shouldn't be as crimes. It doesn't matter if the watchers of this are interested in cannabis or not. The point is, it could be your children or could be your nieces and whatever. So we should have a society which treats it as health and doesn't sort of terminate their futures, which actually damages the income of the island. So look at it more pragmatically.
Okay, so the next question is, how would you support nurses to deliver pay parity?
Okay, so this is a huge issue going on. So even before the pay parity, we still have to catch up on the salaries. I've been doing some research into this, into the cost of recruitment, the cost of all the extras given to the nurses coming in for accommodation, for £5,000 relocation fee. All of this amasses to a large amount. I would love to see the calculation of give them the percentage increase required. I'm not sure if this is in line with parity or just the catch-up. and see what that difference is. And also the nurses who are here already, who are not getting the benefits of the, let's call it transient nurses, I'm sure it's the wrong term, but not here, because they leave generally before their time is up, because they can go to Jersey for twice the money. So the ones who remain here, give them the benefits. If we could do a creche, how about they get medical insurance for free, especially when they're at the hospital? So that's sort of part one, and the parity obviously will have to follow from that. So first, let's get them caught up where they should be.
Okay. And next question. Do you support bringing Guernsey's parental leave laws more in line with Jersey's?
Okay, so there's an irony here. Why do we compare to Jersey? We don't want to compare to Jersey to anything, and suddenly we do for this. So how about this? How about we look at it, because the parental leave is something really important. We talk, well, generally it's always been maternity, but it needs to be paternity. It needs to be for everything. If we have our children growing in a good environment, and it's those first formative times and months which is important. So I'm not going to refer to Jersey. We can do this ourselves.
And the next question is, how will you support trans and non-binary islanders, and will you champion their inclusion in anti-discrimination law?
Okay, so this is a harder one, because I'm not fully aware of the details of this. But when we talk of discrimination and rules like this, so in principle I support it. What I don't know, it's a bit like the legalization of cannabis. How is it going to be delivered, and what impact and effect will it have? But as a community and working compassionately, we are all on the same rock, living together.
Okay. And the next question: what are your priorities for physical and mental health?
They are both huge ones. Now, part of it comes back to the nurses and the carers. The mental health now is finally no longer the black dog isn't the sort of caveat with a person's sort of life or situation. So we're embracing it. So whether it be through third sector, whether it be through states and funding, it's huge. So I'm not sure what the solution is, but what I can say is that I'm very interested in supporting any initiatives that's actually going to make this more fair across the island.
And the final question, what measures would you support to move to an economy that measures human and environmental well-being, not just GDP?
Okay, so as much as I believe in business and officially, historically, it's always been GDP, the reality is, and COVID's proved it, it's cutting your cloth accordingly. We don't need to keep on growing and growing and growing. We need to protect our environment and balance out and keep that element that we don't stagnate and go backwards, but we don't have to measure our success by GDP.